Good morning, this is Joanna with Joanna's Journey to the RV Life, and I wanted to go over my renovation that I had of my open range 2013 386 FLR. This was when it was delivered to where I had stayed basically stationary at a local RV park. I was blessed with having one of the best lakeside lots. As you can see, it had fountains that lit up at night. It was just absolutely gorgeous. When I got it, it was in great condition for the most part, and really no major issues. I ended up having an issue because of the guy that hooked me up to the water, hooked up the water to the black tank, and when we went to use the bathroom, basically it had overflowed the black tank, causing it to have a huge leak. And then I also left the water going in the shower doing something really stupid. I put the hand wand in the bucket that I was using to clean stuff out, and I left, and I made the leak even worse, and so it basically flooded out. So I had to get new vinyl plank flooring in the kitchen. So I was kind of forced right away to change the kitchen flooring. I wasn't going to do that immediately because it was a laminate in good condition, but that's one thing that I ended up being happy with. However, down the road, there was some trapped moisture, even though it had been weeks before I had the flooring done. I thought it was all dried out, but underneath that plywood layer in the kitchen, there had been some trapped moisture that over time ended up rotting a lot of the plywood boarding, and so it got softer and softer and ended up having to have that plywood base repaired. So we were able to pull the vinyl flooring out, well, not me, and have the subfloor replaced, and then put the vinyl flooring back on top, which was fabulous that I was able to reuse that flooring. So I wanted to go ahead and open it up and make it feel a little bit lighter. So I started to paint, thinking I was going to do all this paint job myself, but that was a lot of work to prime and paint. And so what I ended up doing was I started in the kitchen, that ended up deciding to pay for the kitchen and living room to be professionally painted, and then I painted my bedroom myself, and I painted my bathroom. I left the cabinetry in the bathroom the way it was because I liked the wood, but I did paint the cabinetry that was in my bedroom because I thought it looked really pretty, white, and it opened it up again. And let's see, there's where I had to replace the flooring up in the bedroom. And I did want to put a new backsplash on. It was kind of like a plastic divoted black thing. And so I added some glass backsplash. I had somebody come in and just put it in, and I ended up being the one to grout it to save a little bit of money. So that was a neat experience to be able to do something different that I had not done before. So here you can see that it's dark. Even though it's beautiful wood, it was just a little bit too dark for me. Then I had it painted a Dover white. It was Benjamin Moore Dover white. You can start to see the transformation. And then the walls were Bird's Nest. I think it was Benjamin Moore, I can't recall, but it's definitely was called Bird's Nest. It's kind of like a robin's egg blue. I really, really enjoyed this paint job. I think that they did a great job. I think that it made it feel phenomenal to me. I wanted to kind of have a coastal feel, and I think I did achieve that. I had just really a huge floor plan. It was 40 feet, and I think the 386 and the number is actually the amount of square footage, because when I tried to figure it up myself, I think I came up to about that. So it was just shy of 400 square feet inside. Again, I never did travel in it because I never owned a big truck. I would have been too scared to pull a trailer this size because it's huge. And on top of that, with a big truck, that would have just been too intimidating for me. But this definitely worked well. I lived in it for 2 years. I learned kind of the ins and outs of using too much power in there at one time, and you know what things I want to use on propane or not use on propane. I wasn't a big cook, so I chose to use an induction stove. I think that's conduction. I think it's conduction stove. Anyway, where it's basically an electric stove that you just plug in, and you have to have a magnetic pot that makes it work. So I had to check out all my pots. None of my pots had worked. And I had a friend give me one that she went around and checked in the store to see if it was magnetic on the bottom. And she bought me that as a gift, which was awesome, as a housewarming gift. So I was able to not have to use the propane stove. And then I really just didn't bake anything. It kind of made me nervous to light the pilot light in the oven, so I just used that for storage. I learned how quickly the propane was used up when I wanted to use it to heat the trailer, so I decided to just use space heaters. I actually like it cold to sleep in, so that wasn't a big deal because I kind of liked it not being too hot in there anyway. And so I was able to have everything included in my lot price, my rental price. I had my electric, my sewer, my water, and so then that way I didn't really have a gas bill, so it was all inclusive. I did have a leak after we installed the washer dryer combo. The pipe in the wall was not hooked together all the way. Basically, it wasn't tightened, and so we had to make an access panel to fix that, and everything was fine after that. It didn't do any major damage. There was the roof. It just shows how much I was underneath a lot of the trees, and I had to have it sealed properly, and I did have it cleaned, which, you know, was good after a certain, you know, basically every year you need to kind of do that anyway. But I did have a nice seal job done. There was a small leak. Really, the whole thing only came with a small leak in the bathroom that I'd noticed over the, what am I trying to say? Over the skylight that was over the bathroom. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little leak over there on the right. And I learned how to do all the gray and black tank thing. When it had arrived, I knew nothing. Obviously, I had to ask the guy that delivered it to hook up do my hookups with the water, and he did it wrong. So, you know, it goes to show if you want something done right, you need to learn to do it yourself. Let's see, I had 2 sofas up in front that opened up into full-size beds, although we never opened them up because when the boys visited, they would just sleep on the sofas, take the pillows off, and use them like twin beds. Mine was a king-size bed, and so my daughter would just sleep in there with me when she was visiting from college. So we had enough room, although it was a little tight with everybody's stuff when they came to visit. It's really perfect. I know plenty of people who travel in RVs with lots of children, but this was perfect for me and would have been perfect for 2 people. But honestly, it would have been okay to have more people had I not had as much stuff in my storage. If I would have had less stuff in storage, I would have been able to open up some of the storage areas for my kids to put their things when they came. I did realize that I brought way too much stuff that I didn't use. You definitely realize the footprint of the area that you use is smaller than you realize, and I've realized that now that I've moved into a townhome, that I still use the small footprint, about as much space as I had in my fifth wheel. So there you'll see it's finished and decorated for Christmas. I loved it at Christmas. I thought it was so much fun. I had a business party For 2 years in a row, everybody came to my house, and one girl said my living room was just as big as her living room in an apartment, which was funny. As you see, I had a deck, a small deck attached to the front. It actually wasn't attached. It was separate, but it was just right up next to the RV. And that was very convenient. So when I was carrying in bags and taking dogs in and out, I wasn't having to worry about tripping up and down a small set of stairs. So it made it feel more homey that way. But anyway, I'm almost done with my tour of my RV. There on the left and right, you'll see sofas. And then I had a recliner. And then, let's see, in the kitchen, I had, I think it was 8 cubic feet of storage, which was fairly large for a trailer RV or trailer refrigerator. Anyway, I'm not going to worry so much about splicing this together and having the perfect voiceover because it is what it is, but you can see how I had it decorated at Christmas. And I really wanted to take this on the road one day, but it just didn't work out, and I had to sell it and move into a townhome. But I am looking forward to getting a Class C RV at some point that I think will be manageable for me to drive, probably not too intimidating, and something that will be big enough to hold everything that I've learned that I really need, because it's time to downsize, I believe, as far as my stuff. And I know that people won't be able to believe that I've come to that point, but I think I'm just really ready to live the minimal lifestyle. And hope that you've enjoyed this tour of my open range and see the possibilities of how you can make it your own home. And I hope this inspires you to consider living the tiny house lifestyle. Even though this isn't an official tiny home on wheels that sticks and bricks, I've definitely enjoyed my experience in my open range. And I just wish you the best, and I hope that you will live intentionally and that you will be blessed. Enjoy.